But without that hand-holding, it's kind of going to fall apart. You want to make sure that hand-holding system is in place with your marketing, with your message, with all of the experiences to be able to guide your customers to being able to actually purchase from you.
Well, what are some of the elements that are needed then to really create that marketing-focused web presence?
Well, one of the things I love to do is I love to be able to create maybe ebooks, right? Ebooks are a great way to be able to, and they don't have to be long books. They don't have to be like 100 pages.
Mm-hmm.
It could be something that's 5 pages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that provides a lot of value for your client from the get-go for questions they may have, so it doesn't waste your time, right? You get to answer the questions that are most asked instantly without them having to waste your time with a call. And then when they connect with you, you already have a level of trust with them because they've gotten some information that is of value. A great way to look at this is, let's say you see, I have to say before I say this, I apologize to my wife, but let's say you're at the beach, right? And Richard could probably relate. But you're at the beach and you see this smoking hot woman, right? She's absolutely gorgeous, right? So, and she's giving you the 90% because you can see pretty much her entire body. But you know what? She's giving you all of that value, but what you really want is the 10%, right? You want the 10% that's covered. So what I'm saying to you is, how do you create the experiences that give your client the 90% of the value, but they call you back to gain that 10%? That's really the key. And that's what we help our clients with.
Now, if anybody can't understand that.
Well, as a woman, I can understand that when I'm thinking of a man. I pictured a man when you said that.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Think of Hugh Jackman. There you go. A great example, because Logan is out in theaters now. So you think of Hugh Jackman in that Speedo for yourself, and just think that value piece that you're wanting to sell your clients is that Speedo, and they want to take that Speedo off. How do they get that Speedo, right? But you have to create enough value for them to want to connect with you on that level.
I love that example because it's clean enough to not be, but it's suggestive enough to understand it completely. So to me, that was just the perfect example for how to provide value to and sharing relevant and information to your clients or prospective clients so that they can't wait to know more about you. I love it.
But your message there was so spot on from a business perspective.
Yeah.
You want the phone to ring. You want to get emails in. You want. And you have to think of it from that seductive manner. I love that.
With your permission, I might try to bring this into my next email marketing workshop when they're talking about a subject line, because I share one of the best subject lines I ever used on an email where I think I had a 99% open rate on it. It was in the subject line. I said, Richard can't keep his pants up. And I mean, everybody on our list knows us. We're in business together, but we're also married, right? Well, it went on, and the body of the email shared how Richard had taken 60 pounds off, and he literally couldn't keep his pants up, but it was suggestive enough to make them want to know more. So I love that. That really makes me smile, and I think it's a phenomenal example. So thank you.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about royalties afterwards. I don't mind.
Oh, goodness.
So I guess, what is, or how can the initial investment of creating that brand foundation pay off then? I know you're putting all that information together, and you've gone through the process. How can it really pay off for you?
Creating the right brand foundation can help lead you to attract the right partners, the right customers, and the right circumstances to help you grow at the right pace. That's really what it's all about. You have to figure out, okay, who do you want to work with? Who do you want to partner with? What type of circumstances do you envision yourself having with this brand? And let's create something that will help you achieve all of those goals. That's really the key, is creating something that almost makes it look bigger than what you are, right? If you look bigger than what you are, you're going to attract some high-level partners that will help grow your business at an astronomical level. And that is a huge, huge benefit. I mean, being in the entrepreneurial world, especially when I started, I can relate in the sense that it is lonely. It can be extremely lonely. And you're trying to build something and you have no idea where to start. And having that right brand foundation will help bring those quality partners into your life to make things so much easier for yourself. So that is why I say it's absolutely critical to have the right foundation from the get-go.
Very well said.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and that foundation is just as hard to build as the whole brand process itself, because that's where you're actually one-on-one with somebody, and you're trying to get them to help you or give you advice in some manner, and you've got to lay your soul out there and tell them your personal why, and that's not an easy task unless you've spent a number of hours, days even maybe, refining your why to where it is magnetic, to where it is attracting people to want to know more.
A great way to, actually, I want to add to that, Richard, and this is just a value statement for clients or possible clients or just your listeners. I don't know if you've ever heard of Simon T. Bailey, but one of the things that he says, and that I absolutely love and I just take to heart, when you want to figure some of these things out, you really need to ask yourself 3 questions. And those 3 questions are, what would I do if nobody paid me to do it, right? Figure out what you love and how can you actually create wealth with what you love. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? If it was an absolute key sure thing that you're going to be successful at what you do? And what makes you come alive? When you talk about it, it's energy. People gravitate towards positive energy. If you have so much energy that you can't hold it in, and you love talking about it and being able to create value for people, then those people are going to connect with you. And they're eventually going to become your customers, and you don't have to work for it because you've already connected with them. They've already emotionally invested in you.
I can hear Simon T. Bailey saying that on the stage. I think we may have been at one of the same seminars that he was at. He spoke on the stage. Gosh, I'm trying to think, maybe 6 years ago down in the West Palm areas where I first heard him, and we're connected on social media. He is phenomenal. So just repeat those 3 questions again, what you should ask, and make sure that we have them. I have the first one. I have, what would I do if I wasn't receiving any pay for it?
Yeah, what would you do if nobody paid you?
Mm-hmm.
What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And what makes you come alive?
I love that. That what makes you come alive is really the key trigger.
Mm-hmm.
I can just picture it. That's that passion. That's that deep burning desire of why we want to serve others. Because it's not always easy being, like you say, starting out and being an entrepreneur, starting a small business and growing, because it's a lot of perseverance. But you have to really understand those 3 questions. That's very good.
In the business world, there is nothing tougher than getting started, and and even on rebranding. I mean, you got major companies out there that have attempted rebrands and basically had to fold back.
Pull back. I think Starbucks tried to do something like that a few years ago, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yes.
And they lost some, traction with their.
No, it was Dunkin' Donuts trying to compete with Starbucks. They went from a donut shop trying to get into the coffee business. And it didn't work because people were going there for donuts.
So it's all your message. So I guess with that kind of question, what would your recommendations be then if you have to repair that brand reputation? If you try something and it's not working, or you do have your brand message out there, but something has tainted it, so now you got to repair it.
Well, from that point, what I would do, especially what I do with my clients, is I go back to what we do is we do a brand core document. So we go back to looking at that foundation. We look at your mission. We look at all the different things that kind of encompass a brand and its voice and its purpose. And we really define them and figure out, okay, is this how you want to be defined, or are you wanting to be defined in another way? If those things aren't in line, then we have to change something. Mm-hmm. We have to go back to that space and kind of start from there. That doesn't mean having to change a logo, but it might mean having to change its tone, changing its attitude, changing its personality, which at sometimes can actually come into by changing a logo, or it could just be changing colors. It could just be changing your tagline. But again, once we do that brand audit, mm-hmm. We really need to find those things to be able to figure out what's the best move to help a company that's struggling to be able to attract more clients and to get better traction.
So it's really, as you say, coming back in and doing an audit, but it's also making sure, especially if you have employees and other people that are working with you, your partners, etc., they need to be on topic with this and understand your message, understand your brand core.
Oh, yes. And I could honestly go through probably another show just talking about employees. But I will tell you this. There was a client that I had that had an amazing brand, but had to fold because she had the wrong employees. You have to hire the right help to help you build that business. They have to be in line with whatever your brand core is. Mm-hmm. If they're not in line with your brand, then they shouldn't be working in your business at all. You need to find people that are passionate, that will help you build a brand besides just someone that's there to clock in 9 to 5. That's really where the key lies.
Very, very good point there. And I think that there are many companies, and I know when we had a larger company, we've experienced some of those same things. They have to be on message, and they have to be true to, mainly as they're the ones a lot of times dealing with the customers. So they have to understand and be on message. So again, resonating with the right people, attracting the right people to you, whether it's a customer or an employee. Is all what your foundation's going to do. Well, we were just talking about some of the, we're talking about small businesses, but we've mentioned some of the larger brands, and I know you've worked with a number of those over the years. But, the brands such as, Coca-Cola, Nike, Macy's, we've mentioned Disney, they spend tons of money. and sometimes I even kind of question, there are some of those Super Bowl commercials we see, and I wonder, my gosh, who are those teams that they brought on? Because some of these commercials made no sense to me. But, which I know that's part of their brand reputation. But how can a small or a mid-sized business actually get some of the similar benefits on what would amount to a small or shoestring budget or investment? How do they compare? How do they compete with these large brands?
Well, there are a few answers I have to that. One of the things that we've done with our clients now is we build out a plan for them, and then from that plan, we figure out, okay, how fast do you want to go to build this out? Once we figure out how fast you want to go to build out all the elements of your brand, then we figure out, okay, what's feasible at a monthly rate? Because instead of just saying, okay, this is going to be a $10,000 investment, a $15,000 investment, it can be something where it's like, hey, you know what, this is $500 a month. Can you swing $500 a month? And I've realized that after, as I said, from working a few years in this business, that, it's important for these businesses to become successful because if they have more access to their own capital, without investing all of it in the initial front, they can do more things. Mm-hmm. So, and that was one of the reasons why we made the choice to go about